Hello and welcome to our YouTube channel. This is Andy.
And I'm Joe.
And I'm also Joe.
And I'm Andy.
And Joe the third is me.
Andy the fifth is I.
Right. We're going to show you right now a video from our past. These are videos that have previously aired on our Patreon page from the past.
Yes.
Because we're getting ready to launch new videos from the future.
The future is.
I've said before on this channel, if you've watched some of the older videos, where you should take your shoes off, take your pants off, put your pants back on, put your shoes back on, take your jacket off, put your jacket back on. But now I'd also like to advise, for those of you who wear glasses, take your glasses off, put your glasses back on, go get some sunglasses, put them on top of your glasses, and that's it. Keep the sunglasses on over the glasses. Joe can't do it because he can't find sunglasses right now, but please enjoy this video from our past while we get ready for our future here on Give Me All You Got, the show.
The Andy show.
It's not the name of the show. That's just the name that I thought of. Anyway, enjoy this. Bye. All right, welcome back to the Andy Show. On this week's episode, we decided to have a guest. We haven't had a guest in a while.
Exactly.
And not only do we have a guest that we know very well, but you might know our guest. I've known him for literally my entire life. Joe has known him for most of his life.
Yeah.
Also his entire life.
I think all of my life.
Yeah. I'm just saying.
There may have been a few months in there.
Well, but like as
Beginning.
close of knowing, because when you were first born, you were blind or you couldn't hear, or what was it? You had both? What was it?
Yeah, I was had a hard time hearing, and then had the club feet thing going.
Oh, okay, yeah. So you weren't thinking about knowing anybody.
No. I was just trying to live.
I'm in Phoenix and I can't hear anything.
Yeah, it's hot.
So we'll go with. You've known him for about let's say a year and a half to 2 years longer than I have.
Yes.
Yeah.
That seems fair.
Yeah. So really, you should be talking to him more than me. On today's show, we have Chris A. Biersack, my father. Hello, Dad.
Gentlemen, how you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
Great.
Good.
Are you excited to be in Los Angeles?
Hell yeah. SoCal compared to Cincinnati?
Yeah.
I'm loving it. Yeah.
Yeah. We were saying earlier that, obviously we went to an amusement park. My dad and my mom took us to Universal Studios. And one of the things that I think you guys probably enjoyed the most was the fact that it's 90 degrees here right now.
Yeah. First time I got the old shorts out.
Nice.
Got to see the whitest of white legs.
Yeah.
The old Cincinnati Midwestern legs.
Well, that's what's funny is the first day that they were here, they went to Santa Monica.
Right.
And they were all excited about being able to wear, clothes like my dad was wearing, like a basketball jersey. And, it's time to bust out the cold. But they went to Santa Monica where the ocean is, and it was 58 degrees. So while everywhere else in LA was 98, it was 58. And so they had to go to like TJ Maxx and buy jackets on day one.
Like, what the hell? We just got out of this.
Your mom did. I just powered through. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
I had to do it. But yeah, 58. Of course, for us, coming from Cincinnati, where it's 30-something, 58 was awesome.
Yeah. No complaints there.
So my dad, many of you know, has been doing various projects in the public eye or the fan base with Black Club Rides for a couple of years. Did a video talk show on his YouTube page a couple of years back. Had a Right About Now podcast for, was it 2 seasons, 1 season?
One season. We were going to have a second season, but not enough people were interested in that.
Yeah, 2 seasons and a movie.
So congratulations on season 2 for you.
Yeah, thank you. We made it to season 2.
I didn't.
Yeah, that's all right. You're on season 2 of the Andy Show. So
I finally made it to somebody.
You made it to a season 2.
For the first time, you get to put S2 behind your name in an episode.
That is fantastic.
But yeah, Right About Now was a podcast where you and for a while, it was either just you or a former guitar player of yours and a friend of yours for a long time, Dave Baroni, was on. You interviewed different artists in the rock scene.
I did.
And me.
Yeah, and Joe.
That's how that should go. A bunch of different rock stars and Joe.
Yeah. And also Joe. And also Joe.
Yeah. I don't even know if it gets an also.
Yeah.
I think and Joe.
I like and also because it's very like Catholic. And also Joe.
That's true.
Because you say peace be with you.
I interviewed your tattoo artist.
Yeah, Sean Kama. And also Sean Kama.
Terry Beezer, the Bees, who's now in Los Angeles.
Is in Los Angeles.
This is turning into a run-on sentence now.
Yeah. And also
the Bees.
And also the Bees. No, but so many of you have probably listened to that. If you haven't, go check it out because they are fantastic interviews that are usually pretty long interviews. Usually.
Right.
Yeah, about an hour, going in depth about people's lives and career in a way that, you have a unique perspective because you being my dad, you've seen the kind of behind the curtain for many years. Obviously, you being a musician when you were younger and spending every bit of time with me when I was in the formative stages of the band, going on our initial tours, doing all that stuff. So you've had very unique situations because of being in the industry. And so you were able to talk to these musicians and artists in a way that maybe a lot of other people cannot, because while many people that are journalists or whatever have a lot of information, it's a different thing to be on the other end of it and be able to understand intrinsically what people's lives are like kind of behind that curtain. So, but I will say that because you've lived the life of the dad of a rock guy, you've had some weird stuff happen, and I don't want to get too morbid, but I kind of want you to share with everybody. You had a kind of a crazy thing happen in 2009, the Christmas of 2009.
Yeah.
I'll just give a little backstory. The On Leather Wings tour was the first headline tour the Black Veil Brides did, and my dad, we had Ashley's Durango, and we had my dad's, what was it, a Chevy HR?
HHR.
HHR, extra H in there. I just thought
another
HR.
H.
Yeah.
I'm pretty certain it was two
HHR.
HH.
But it was like a PT Cruiser-y kind of thing.
Kind of like that.
And so those were our two touring vehicles. And we went around the country and played in bars that nobody came to see us at on egg crates. And my dad was our tour manager, merch guy, light guy, fog guy, everything. And so we finished the tour and got back to LA. And my dad and I went and I got my first ever apartment with the cash from that tour.
Mm-hmm.
I could not get a renter's lease or whatever, so my dad had to co-sign because I didn't have any credit at all at that time, but I had the cash. So I was paying for an apartment in cash in LA with no credit history.
He was 18.
I was 18. So my dad helped me with that, and then he wanted to, this is right before Christmas, so I'll let you kind of take the story from there, but you were trying to get home for Christmas.
Yeah, we were, I had left right after the Anaheim show. You guys played Chain Reaction right after you had just done the Whiskey.
Yeah.
The Whiskey was on like a Tuesday night. I think you're being a little bit humble about the number of people that came to see you on that tour.
Well, some places people came to see, but if you were in Flagstaff, Arizona,
there were some out of the place bar types of places that whoever booked you for that tour didn't know what the hell they were doing. But you sold out shows in Cleveland and Pittsburgh and in any of the major venues. So we went to LA for the Whiskey A Go-Go on a Tuesday night. You guys, as a band who had no record out, just had a single that was on YouTube, the Knives and Pens video, you sold out the Whiskey on a Tuesday night, 2 nights before Christmas.
Yeah,
I mean that was pretty impressive. And then the very next night, you sold out Chain Reaction as the headliner. You weren't on anybody's tour. So we're done with that tour. It was a lot of fun. In fact, I think we actually had a video of one of the shows made, and I was watching that show, and I had to leave the next day. And I was staying at Jinx's weird apartment place that he was staying at or whatever.
Yeah. It was crazy because back then he lived in a place where it was commonplace for people to get hit by cars outside.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah. So he lived in Hollywood on right at the end of where all the traffic dumps into Hancock Park.
Okay.
And so once a month someone would get hit by a car right outside of his apartment complex because people would come down that hill and it's a blind hill at the bottom.
Yeah.
And people would walk across the street. It was a crosswalk, not a intersection or whatever.
Yeah.
And so people would just get hit and you would hear doof. Nobody, I don't think, ever died, but people would get hit people going 30 down the road.
Wow.
No, he would talk about that all the time.
Yeah. So anyway, sorry, continue.
So
it's the only apartment complex I've ever heard of where
that's
it's regular
occasion.
Get hit by cars outside.
That's what it's known for.
Yeah.
So it's right before Christmas, and I want to get back home to be with your mom for Christmas. And so
that's to the audience. He wanted to be with the royal your mom.
Your mom.
To be with your moms.
Right. All of your moms.
We all want to be with
find the mom of the show one day.
Andy's mom.
No, my mother specifically.
Right. Amy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Travels around in in a silver HHR.
Yeah.
Right.
To visit
everybody's moms. That was my goal.
Sorry, Mom.
So I got to drive back from LA to Cincinnati, and I'm thinking to myself, I've made these long drives before.
Sure.
My parents used to live in Florida. Used to drive straight to Florida. I figure I can do this thing in a couple of days. Not a problem. And I'm driving, and the first night it starts to snow. Snows pretty hard, and I'm thinking, you know what? I can make it. I can get through this snow. I'm from the Midwest.
Right.
We have snow all the time. Shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah.
I was wrong.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, in Texas, in the plains area of Texas, there is no buffer. You drive on a highway and you have like trees and all the rest of that. Yeah. All they just have is wind whipping across.
Yeah. Yep. There's no hills.
Right. And it's
trees.
And a blizzard is literally a blizzard.
Yeah.
Okay. And all of a sudden there's whiteouts. And I mean whiteout, like you can't see 2 feet in front of you. Sure. It's snowing that hard.
Yeah.
And people are sliding off the road. I'm sliding off the road. I'm sitting there. I'm like one of the first cars that slides off the road, close to Amarillo, Texas.
Okay.
And they just keep coming. They're just sliding everywhere. And I'm sitting there in an embankment, and you start to see EMTs and other people showing up to try to help these people out. And they're never getting to me for whatever reason. They just either they can't see me, they don't know where I am or whatever. But before anybody can get to me or see me, a semi-truck comes sliding across in jackknives, and I'm sitting down the embankment and I'm looking right at it. And I can see this thing jackknifing, and the back end of it is just going to hit me head on. Now, lucky for me, and I know it sounds weird to say lucky, there was enough ice and snow where I was sitting that my car slid when it got hit, as opposed to just getting hit straight on. Because if it had, I don't know if I'd be here.
Yeah,
it hit me and slid me back to probably about 40 feet or more to this hill.
Yeah.
But then I was hidden, so nobody knew that I was there. And I was making phone calls back to Cincinnati.
I remember we were all there.
Right. You guys
freaking out.
Melanie, my niece, was there, and she's making phone calls, and Amy, your mom's making calls, and they're trying to communicate with me, and I'm trapped. I can't get out of the car because the trailer had just buckled my car. It was totaled.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting there for hours, hypothermia, the whole thing. Sure. I got like a terrible concussion. I'm bleeding and everything else. And that was the end of the HHR. We never saw that car again. Fortunately, I was...
Didn't you get like helicoptered out of there? Yeah.
Wow. I never heard... Wow, how did I never even knew that.
Yeah, I got... And then eventually I was able to... I don't think I got home for Christmas, but I think I got home on Christmas night.
Mm-hmm.
Like I wasn't home.
Or
like
the real
late,
Christmas,
late.
December 26th.
Right, the real Christmas.
the national Christmas.
I was home in time for the Biersack celebration.
Right,
which
the birth.
We all, right.
we just call it the birth. Hashtag the birth.
Right, grows every year.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's a story that I wanted you to tell it because I think it's really, I don't think necessarily sometimes people understand how difficult it can be to support your kid when your kid is trying to do all this crazy stuff, and things like that can end up happening. Obviously, many people know that I played sports in all my adolescence, and you and I wound up driving all across the country to do all that stuff.
I think that was our practice for you being a rock star, was touring all over travel hockey tournaments and you going from place to place. You had to get used to packing bags and having equipment and everything else.
I think that's another, we were talking about it last week, is that I've been staying in hotels constantly my entire life.
Yeah.
And like you saying, oh, I've never stayed in a hotel that had room service. Like, I can't even imagine that but it's hard for me to remember that, like, in terms of perspective, from hocky into
pretty much straight from
music,
the time you were 9
years old. I've been staying in hotels every weekend for most of my life. Yeah. All the time.
Yeah.
It's very weird.
Yeah. A lot of people don't know that part of our relationship when it's not just the sports stuff, but when the band started, how, like, I would be on the stage doing the fog machine.
Lights. We would go to Home
that's
Depot.
dedication.
We would go to Home
that's really
Depot.
Awesome.
Our lights in the early days were fog lights for like a work.
Like the work lights?
Yeah, work lights. Yeah. And like halogen big work lights.
Big ones.
And we would have them plugged into a power strip with the on-off switch. And so Dad would stand hiding behind the drum kit, and our light show was on, off.
Right, that was all we had. But they were really bright.
If you got really creative, you would hit it like to syncopate with the beats. It'd be like, and the lights would be doing this. But only because someone is flipping on and off a power strip.
And as soon as you guys stop singing for a second, you can just hear click, click.
Yeah. We bought a light thing. We did have a light. We actually had a separate light thing, and it only had 3 light
We had
filaments.
one big directional light that we would set facing the ceiling in one way. So like from the right side of the stage, you'd have red, green. It was slides.
Were these
so
like the lights you could get
gel.
at like Spencer Gifts and stuff?
No, it was from like
oh yeah, they were big ones
from Guitar Center. It was just a big,
cool, yeah.
It weighed about 78 pounds.
Yeah,
and it was a big,
roughly
giant
78.
light. It was this big, and then you would put gel slides in it, and it would switch from. It would make noise from green, red, orange, no like combo, and you'd have to flip the thing and it would go, and you would see the switch.
We would get props from what was it, the Halloween freak place? Or
and we still have some in the. I was at the storage space the other day where Black Little Brides keeps all of our stuff, and you walk in and it's really disconcerting because there's like an 8-foot tall dead bride and a bunch of little babies that sit there.
Very welcoming.
Yeah. Well, when he was young, we used to set this stuff up. I'd go up on the stage and I'd set all this stuff up. And you have to remember that was in the day of the crabcore, the deathcore people, and nobody was doing anything other than minimalistic, looking down at their shoes, stances.
The theatricality
and there was none.
Odd.
Right.
So
particularly in like a club setting.
It was so weird in a club for us to be going up on these stages and putting up these like floating brides
because it was also like the most
stage
and everything we had was so like DIY, and like we're putting work lights on the stage.
Right.
Brides from a Halloween store that I've like painted and customized,
making our own banners and putting them behind.
I thought of the idea that it would be cool. We would go to card conventions a lot, and you remember?
Right. Oh, I remember. Go to the Muller card show.
My dad would take us all the time to the Muller card show in Cincinnati. But I would see at card conventions and Kiss expos that sellers of VHS tapes, like bootleg tapes, would have a TV that would be playing their wares. And so while we didn't sell a tape, I thought it would be cool to get a shitty TV, make a VHS of us performing, and then decorate it with all kinds of shit and put it at the merch table. So I had like a hand-painted giant ridiculous television that had a cutout photo of all of us that would just play on a loop about 3 minutes
next to the merch of their show.
A VHS recording of us performing.
Right.
So
when we used the Xbox, whatever it was,
we had a DVD too.
Right.
And we would use the Xbox and it would be underneath the table, plugged into the AV cables.
That was our high tech stuff that we did.
Yeah, in those days it was a lot of you would use whatever you could to try to make it happen. So I think there's probably a lot of people that don't know how heavily involved you were in those early days with that.
Was there ever a question that you were going to be that involved? I mean, like did you have to decide like with work and everything else, like how you were going to be able to be that supportive?
I don't really think there was ever a question about it because Andy wanted it so badly from such a young age. I mean, I don't know of anybody who legitimately worked to brand himself and get his name out there as hard as Andy did when it came to the new age of social media. I mean, he was right on the MySpace thing from the get-go.
Oh yeah.
And he would rehearse, he would practice to be a rock star, if you will. I mean, I know that's kind of we joke about that, but there's a video that you guys made, they don't have to understand or they don't need to understand video where you see literally videos that we used to make. I don't know if people know
that all the videos that are being projected on my back behind me in that video are hours of footage that Pat has now, I think. And you actually saw some of it in the intro to the show where I would film myself doing something every day with the old like digital camcorder.
Yeah, a lot of times it would just be Andy filming himself. He would set the camera up or whatever.
There's the stuff in the living room though when you have the grandparents on the couch.
Yeah, what about Grandpa Biersack getting scared shitless while he's looking like Michael Graves of the Misfits?
If you look really closely in the intro to the show, you will see me with half skull makeup, singing aggressively at
his grandfather's face in the mustache. That's my favorite thing of the whole intro is that particular thing. But no, I mean, and he would rehearse and he was practiced for that.
Yeah.
He wanted to be in a band even when he was playing travel hockey at a younger age, but he was smart enough to realize that the only time he was going to be able to front a band, he was going to have a certain look and be of a certain age so that it worked. Right. So around the time that he became a teenager and he started learning how to play guitar and writing his own songs and everything else, that was the best time for him to start.
By the way. I still can barely. But back then it didn't really necessarily matter because the songs I was writing were like the worst Misfits songs of all time.
Well, you can play chords.
That's
the important thing.
Or my own made-up chords, but ones that worked enough to be able to be a team. I can't even play like I used to in that way because I would go. You would take me to guitar lessons, And I am
Keller Music
I'm such a
in
bad
Old
student of everything that someone tries to teach me. And most you know me, it's very hard to tell me something or teach me anything. I like to know, I like to think I know everything, and I'm going to do this. So I would listen to the guy and he would show me chords and give me tabs, and I go, that's great. And I wasn't listening. I was just thinking about how I would get home and make up my own version of those things and then play songs. And I did. Like, I learned how to play songs on the bass by listening to them, despite the fact that someone had tried to teach me them and showed me the actual way to play them. I would go, that's great.
There's a different way to do it.
Yeah. I'd go home and go, I like the way that sounds better. And I would play along with recordings, and I would write the worst bass solos and stuff to like punk songs, things that didn't need it. But I was so obsessed with, I've said before, one of the things that I had from a very young age is, if you and I build a house of cards right now, and I build it first, and I build exactly how I want.
Yes.
And then you add 3 cards, and it's my turn to add to it. I'll just knock the whole fucking thing over and start again because I'm happy with my version, which is not a great personality trait. And I've been working on that as I get older, but particularly at that age. And so I do think there's a huge amount of credit that my dad deserves for being able to harness that, kind of hard-headedness and give me a direction. And, whether it was sports or music or whatever else, I had an outlet for my kind of hard-headed aggression that I wanted to do things all the time.
Sure. Yeah.
I think we always knew that Andy this was his path that he was going to take. I don't think that if you ask, I know people thought we were nuts. Amy and I would often get asked the question, well, what does he want to do when he grows up, when he was really young? And we're talking 10, 11 years old.
This is after, Rickfield?
Little Johnny Rickfield.
This was definitely after Little Johnny
we didn't
Rickfield.
talk about
if he was still doing Little Johnny Rickfield at maybe 10 or 11, we'd have been a little more concerned on the Fisher Price skates.
That's
skating
when you get
into
worried.
We do actually. We should. When we were talking about that on the show, we thought, I wonder what your parents were thinking. They're going to bed and they're going, what the hell is our son wants to be introduced before he walks into the
before I'll go in the kitchen. Refuse.
What did you guys think of that?
It was hilarious. It was. I don't think you can enjoy being a parent more than having a kid who wants to be introduced and just to be introduced. There was really nothing that came after that.
No, it was just dinner.
It was
100 years ago when you have company over.
Yeah,
the children would put Sunday clothes.
And then they come out. Yeah,
they come out right. And Andy always wanted, when we would have people over, he would always assume that they would want to see a show. I think you were the same way, Joe. You
definitely
guys
was.
would do shows together many times.
Yep.
But yeah, he had that, and that's really what it took for Andy to jump into the limelight when he did and just go and start singing in front of strangers and people in bars that were screaming terrible things at him when you're a 15 or 16-year-old kid and you're starting your rock career out and you're playing in bars and you have the balls to go up on stage doing the makeup thing when nobody else is doing it.
Yeah.
And they're yelling the worst things you can possibly imagine, these dudes. I mean, when Andy first started playing, the scene wasn't like it is now. There are bands now who throw the makeup on and have the look and all the rest of that, and they owe that. And this is my own personal opinion.
Sure.
Okay? But they owe a lot of that to Andy and Black Veil Brides because it was not popular at that time. And they took an incredible amount of abuse. And imagine what a 15 or 16-year-old kid who has national touring bands coming in, standing off to the sides of the stage, making fun of this guy. Some of these bands to this day are still around. And I guarantee you when they see him on the cover of all these rock magazines, they're thinking to themselves, I think we had that wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think one of the things that's a unique situation is that obviously in this day and age, the presence on social media of the parent of a person that is a public figure in some ways is a unique scenario. I know sometimes people forget at the end of the day that we are a normal family. You're my dad, my mom is on Twitter, but it doesn't mean that we are separate from being upset by terrible things that are said or whatever else. How do you find it as someone who is active on social media and who connects with the fans? What do you find is the I guess what's it like to have to see negative stuff said about your kid, negative stuff said about you or your family on a constant basis when you yourself are going to your normal job. Like, you know what I mean? Your life has only changed in the capacity that your son does something, but you're not, you know what I mean? Like you get all of the negativity, but you're not going up on stage and doing stuff. You're going to do the job that you've done for a long time. And then your release is to go online and you look at stuff that for the kid that you're proud of.
Right.
You're facing the negativity. I know, obviously, for Juliet and I, we face a tremendous amount of negativity. We also get a lot of praise. It comes with the territory of doing what we do. It's got to be interesting, though, to be someone who doesn't get to be on the cover of the magazine and is proud of their kid, but then is also having people sling arrows at you for those same things. I mean, it's obviously, you know, I don't mean to speak for you, but it's a very unique situation and one that I don't think there's much precedent for.
Right.
You know? If you look at LeVar Ball, many people who are sports fans might know.
Right. Lonzo Ball.
The dad of the UCLA basketball star.
He takes constant heat because obviously he puts himself out there and he's a very kind of, you know, gregarious,
cocky
guy.
Kind of,
but even still, he's proud of his kid.
Exactly.
That's really the central part. If you look at your Twitter account or whatever else, you're proud of your kid. You only have one. You don't have any other. You know, I'm your only child. So for you and mom, my achievements or my wife's achievements and those things, that's something that you are able to be proud of. Is it difficult, or is it something that's gotten easier over time?
There's always a level of frustration when misinformation is out there and people are readily accepting of that misinformation. That's probably the biggest frustration. The overwhelming majority of the people that support you, that support Juliet,
Not Joe.
No.
that support Joe, because we do get a lot of negatives about Joe.
A lot of stuff about
No,
Joe.
rarely do I see anything negative about Joe.
Well, I made that documentary about Andy, where, you know, because that's what Average Joe was, right?
Yeah, the documentary, right? But no, that's the frustrating part, because initially, when you first start this thing and you first start doing social media, you almost feel a responsibility to respond to the misinformation, to rectify things that people are saying that you know are wrong.
Right.
It gets to a point where you can't do that anymore because that's all you would be doing. And you point out the fact that some people have they have this notion, this idea that we don't have jobs, that we don't work 40, 50 hours a week, that we're not, you know, Amy, your mom is the director in a department at Children's Hospital in Cincinnati. I'm the manager of all of employee relations for the county employees. So we've had these jobs, these responsibilities for years, regular jobs.
Yeah.
And so we're extremely proud, clearly, of all that you've been able to accomplish. We know how hard you work. We know the amount of time and effort that you have to put in, that people have no idea. That it's not just about showing up and making records and video. There's so much more to the business that you have to take responsibility for, not only from a personal standpoint, but as the founder and the leader of Black Veil Brides.
But I think that's something that it's a shame that social media. There's such a huge positive from it, but the shame is that we would even have to say that, because it's not admittedly, it's not any fan's job to have to know how hard I work.
Right.
They just are interested in something.
Right.
But you find yourself saying that because people will then create all this dissent against you, and you go, do you know how hard I work, or those kind of things.
Right.
Whereas, you know, someone like David Bowie, and I'm not comparing myself or anything to David Bowie, I'm saying that the stars of yesteryear got to have an opportunity to kind of have anonymity when it came to the work that they did.
Right.
We have no idea how the fuck long it took for Ziggy Stardust to be called.
Or what he did in between the records.
And if you're a dedicated fan,
nobody cared.
You can get to that point, but the people at large didn't. And now, like I said earlier in the episode, jokingly, if I forget to wear a particular bracelet that I normally wear, there is a conversation to be had about it.
Right.
So while it's obviously hugely beneficial to have all these people, I think it's a very unique situation that is at least worth talking about, especially when it comes to family, is that we all have this kind of interesting life where we have the opportunity to go on stage or to do a show or to whatever it is, but we have families and normal lives outside of that. So I hope that, if nothing else, I hope people seeing and hearing some of the experiences you've had on this episode can understand that chiefly, you're a proud parent of somebody. And I could not be more thrilled. For me as a person to have had the dad that I have meant a lot to me growing up. And so it's a really cool thing to have you on the show today. Now that we're done talking about serious stuff, for this week's mini-sode, for those of you who subscribe to the YouTube page, we're going to do some games. But I think that's it for this week's Andy show on Patreon. Are you happy to end there? Are you good?
I'm good.
Real quick,
thank you for saying the nice things about me. Wow.
Of course. Real quick before we go, two things. What was your radio name when you were a country music DJ?
Chuck Browning.
Chuck Browning.
Chuck Browning, the old Chuck wagon.
And what year? What
So
year was
aliases
that?
is a thing that you guys.
I think it was 1989.
1989. My dad was a country music
88,
jockey.
1989, and into 1990 at 105.7. Dayton's Country Rebel.
Yeah, there you go. And now, Mom, I want you to come in and wave so everyone knows that I have a mom, because you're not as active on social media. So come wave to the cameras.
Clarify fake Chris Biersack on Instagram, by the way. I've been tricked twice now.
Oh,
I'm sorry. I don't have an Instagram.
Here, Mom,
I don't have a Facebook.
Here, come talk. Tell everyone that Dad doesn't have those things.
Okay, so there's a fake Chris on Instagram.
Why would anybody want to
who
be a
links
fake me?
to his real Twitter account and pretends to be him, and it makes me crazy. And I comment on all
Mom
his
is a
pictures
real warrior against the fake.
saying
Understandably
this
so.
is not Chris. Chris would not create this collage of pictures of my relatives and post it. Like random strange things like that. And it makes me crazy. The person deletes my comments and now has put, I wrote a nice comment. I said, please make it clear that this is a fan account, not actually Chris, because Chris's relatives who are senior citizens are following this account.
They
And
think
it's ridiculous.
I'm blowing them off.
Right. So the person wrote in tiny little font, parody.
Oh,
But
it's a
that's
parody.
not really a parody.
No, you're just pretending to be a person.
Right.
There's no joke element
Right.
to
A
it.
parody would be like if it's evil Chris.
The joke's on
Evil
him.
Donald Trump. That's a parody.
Exactly.
The joke's on Mom.
Well, it's really not a parody, but
No.
Yeah. So anyway, there's my clarification about that. It's not Chris. on
All right, cool.
Instagram.
You heard it here first.
Amy
Yep,
Biersack,
there it
everybody.
is.
All right, guys, that is it for this week's show. Thank you so much to our subscribers. Thanks for hopefully enjoying the start of season 2 with our new sign. Joe, you got anything to say before we sign off?
Not a word.
All right, goodbye.
We hope you loved that video.
I know that you loved it because I am in your house right now watching you enjoy it.
And
that's not true. I don't.
Presumably you loved it because you're still watching the video and it's over.
Right. I hope that you liked it. I hope that you enjoy these videos. We will be uploading these videos every single day from the world, anywhere in the world that we are. We're going to stress out and go, oh, we got to get a video up. So
What's it
we'll
gonna
upload it. Yeah, we have a remote location that we upload all of these from. It's a bunker. We can't even get in. That's how secret it is. So we just stand right outside the bunker and we upload these videos. Is there anything you'd like these people to know?
Make sure to turn the bell on.
You might ask, what the hell's that? And the answer is, there's apparently a bell somewhere right around this video in one of these areas. Unless you're watching it elsewhere.
Yeah.
Unless it's not on our YouTube page.
If there's an actual bell, you can ring that bell. You can ring my bell.
You can ring my bell, LL. Ring my bell. Get notifications. Subscribe to the channel. Please enjoy these videos. And if you don't tell us, because we'll cry 96 tears.